everyone, and welcome to this year's 2021 Hearts of Hope event. We're so excited for the new format this year. Whether you're watching at home, on your couch, in your backyard, or with your family or friends, we hope you enjoy this video. You'll get to hear testimonies of 2 participants, and God has really been working in their lives this year. I also want to share about a new program that we're launching this spring. Finally, at the end of the video, you'll have the opportunity to partner with New Hope with a financial gift. I want to say up front that we are so thankful for all of you and the many ways you have stepped up to support New Hope in this challenging year. Thank you especially to our sponsors for the event. Our Ruby sponsors this year are Jeff Vandermolen from Terry O'Connor Realtors and Wayne Tile. And our crystal sponsors are F Squared, the Gettleman family, and Brainstone. Thank you all so much for your generosity. Together, we are transforming lives by God's grace. And on that note of life transformation, let's watch this first testimony together.
My mom is part of the Women of Hope group, and I remember tagging along with her for some of the events. And from there, I joined the New Hope Teen Leaders.
So I met Sandra at Women of Hope when she used to come with her mom, and as soon as I saw her, I saw a potential in her. Right away, wanted her to give her the opportunity to use that potential that she had. And I gave her a call and asked her if she wanted to be on the team leadership as a volunteer coordinator. And she said yes. And she started using the gift that God gave her in the ministry that we have and in the programs. And it was beautiful seeing what she was turning into.
So currently, I'm the New Hope Teen Leader President, as well as the Marketing Manager. And last year was my first year as a teen, and I was a volunteer coordinator. Being part of the teens group allowed me to interact with other teens in the community, and it meant a lot to me, especially being able to be a role model for these teens. Liz has been a huge help to me and my family, and that connection is something that I'll always be really grateful for. As I fell sick and my mother fell sick, there was no way we could go out and buy food and get cleaning supplies. And that's where New Hope came in, and receiving the donations from the pantry really helped us. I don't know what we would have done if it wasn't for that, and I'll always be super grateful for that. I remember during the pandemic being in my bed, being sick, and just not knowing what was gonna happen. My mom was in the hospital and I was sick, and I remember texting Francesca those nights where I felt lost, and we would talk about how we would be praying for each other and how our faith was connecting us in those really dark moments. And it meant a lot to me to have someone who I knew would be there for me. And eventually I developed anxiety, and in a really bad way where it started affecting me physically. And I didn't know where to go. I felt really stuck. And so I texted Liz hey, do you know of any counseling services? I had heard New Hope offers that. And she was able to connect me with Felipe in only the matter of a week. And I started counseling, and that really changed things for me.
It brings me so much joy to see where she's heading. I see all the gift that she has and the gift that she has used at New Hope, and what she learned and how much she grew, and that she's going to bring college and beyond that.
And it wasn't till I was here at New Hope that I realized I know what I wanted to do was give back to the community. That's one of the major things that New Hope sparked in me, is my interest in the community and wanting to pursue that as a career and not pushing that aside. And in the fall, I will be attending the University of Pennsylvania as a first-generation low-income student on a full-ride scholarship. And I really aspire to work with nonprofit organizations because of my experience here at New Hope. New Hope to me, it represents hope, love, and faith in my life. So I'd consider New Hope like a second family.
In Matthew 15, Jesus works a miracle. From just 7 loaves and a few small fish, he feeds 4,000 people. Before the pandemic even began, there were over 4,000 people in Prospect Park and Haledon combined who lived at incomes that qualified them for food assistance. And in the next few minutes, I would like to talk about how God might work another 4,000 person miracle through all of us. In Matthew 15, it says, "Great crowds came to Jesus, bringing the lame, the blind, the crippled, the mute, and many others, and laid them at his feet, and he healed them. The people were amazed when they saw the mute speaking, the crippled made well, the lame walking, and the blind seeing. And they praised the God of Israel. Jesus called his disciples to him and said, 'I have compassion for these people. They have already been with me 3 days and have nothing to eat. I do not want to send them away hungry, or they may collapse on the way.' His disciples answered, 'Where would we get enough bread in this remote place to feed such a crowd?' 'How many loaves do you have?' Jesus asked. 7, they replied, 'and a few small fish.' He told the crowd to sit on the ground. Then he took the 7 loaves and the fish, and when he had given thanks, he broke them and gave them to the disciples, and they in turn to the people. They all ate and were satisfied. Afterwards, the disciples picked up 7 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. The number of those who ate was 4,000. Let's jump back for a minute to our context at New Hope. In the year since the pandemic began, the food pantry served double the number of people as it did the year before. We distributed 30,000 meals to 1,000 people, and that was not the only program that grew last year. Last year, our counseling program offered 1,000 sessions to people in crisis. 9 marriages were saved last year and 2 teens committed to Christ. All 5 of the seniors in our New Hope Teen Leader program graduated high school, and 2 of our citizenship preparation students passed their exam and are now U.S. citizens. Dozens of people learned English and found comfort and hope through our virtual classes and community events. In the end, hundreds of parents were able to put food on the tables for their kids because of all our collective efforts, donors, staff, volunteers, our whole community. God has been working a miracle through all of us already. In the biblical story, thousands of people come to Jesus seeking healing and deliverance. Jesus gives voice to the mute and sight to the blind. He heals the crippled and the lame. He walks with the suffering and restores them to the flourishing life he created them to live. But here is a very important point. Even though Jesus is the bread of life, even though he preached and called people to a life everlasting, he did not neglect their physical needs. "I have compassion on this people," he said. Compassion. So he healed and he fed. What else would you characterize this past year of ministry at New Hope but as healing and as feeding? Providing meals to families and healing to those who are suffering emotional trauma. The work that we are engaged in is viscerally close to the heart of God. Jesus' mission was to reconcile all things to himself, our bodies, our minds, and our souls. And that is what we are on mission to do at New Hope. So what about this 4,000 person miracle I spoke about in the beginning? Well, if you've been following our social media this past few months, you'll know that we are launching an exciting new program called The Harvest this spring. The Harvest is a bulk food buying club, and its purpose is to expand access to healthy and affordable foods right here in our community. Through The Harvest, members will be able to purchase fresh and staple goods every week. New Hope will purchase these foods in bulk from wholesale suppliers and local farms, and members will volunteer to receive deliveries and distribute food orders so that people can come and pick up their groceries right at New Hope. Through a variety of cost-saving techniques, we'll be able to save members 15% on their grocery bill every month. And we're launching this program now because of the dramatic rise in need for emergency food assistance that we're seeing locally and nationally. I said just a few minutes ago that we served twice the number of people through our food pantry in 2020 as we did the year before. Estimates project that across our country, 17 million people became food insecure because of the COVID-19 pandemic. But if New Hope already has a food pantry that distributes food for free, why would someone from the food pantry also want to join the buying club where they purchase their foods? Well, consider this. The food pantry supplies about 10% of a family's food needs every month. We intentionally structure our food distribution to be a supplement to government assistance programs and job wages. If our mission is to help people move from crisis to self-sufficiency, then the food pantry's role is to avert crisis. It's to stop the blood flow, so to speak, and grant a level of stability to families that are on the brink. From that place, it's always been our process to engage families in some of our other programs that will equip them with skills and enfold them in supportive community so that they can move towards self-sufficiency. So if we're providing 10% of a family's food needs, we know that they're purchasing probably about the other 90%. And through many years and countless conversations, through focus groups and through surveys, we have begun to understand some of the unique challenges our participants are facing in finding healthy and affordable foods right in our neighborhood. We know that nationally there is a trend in which groceries are more expensive in lower income areas than they are in higher income areas. There are fewer stores in lower income areas and less people in these neighborhoods have access to transportation. As a result, grocery prices get inflated and they stretch already fragile budgets of families on the brink. This same pattern is at work in our area, and the Harvest seeks to meet the need by creating a new and sustainable system to expand this access to healthy and affordable food. So why would someone in the food pantry want to also join the Harvest? Well, put simply, the food pantry was designed to help people survive. The Harvest will help them thrive. And we'll do this in a number of ways. First, as I mentioned, we hope to save members 15% on their grocery bill every month. Second, we'll provide financial literacy training to help families set goals for how to wisely use that 15% savings every month. Third, we'll be providing nutrition education to encourage more healthy eating habits so our participants can more likely avoid lifestyle diseases that so often plague low-income communities. In all of this, we'll be building community around something that everyone has in common: food. This community will empower people to make better choices about the food they're purchasing and putting in their bodies. It is not a structure that is a handout in crisis. This is a system that propels people towards self-sufficiency. It leverages the gifts and the talents of the members through volunteering and affirms the inherent dignity that God has given to every single person by making community members a part of the process. So let me tell you real quickly about where we're at in this project. In May, we're launching a pilot program with about 20 families. Just last month, in early April, we got approved to become a SNAP retailer, which means that families can use their food stamps funds in order to purchase groceries directly at the Harvest. A few months ago, we received a $50,000 grant, which we've used to purchase a van to transport food and members. The grant also covered lease costs for a climate-controlled office trailer that will house all of the operations of the pilot program for the next year. We project that in about 3.5 years, this program could grow to a point that it would financially sustain itself. At that point, it could scale and reach the entire community. Just a few weeks ago, we received a pledge of $60,000 over the next 3 years for this program. And we are so excited because the Harvest, more than any other program that we have attempted to launch, could make it possible for New Hope to serve all 4,000 people in our community who are struggling to put food on their tables. This is the 4,000 person miracle I've been talking about all along, and you can be a part of it. But before I invite you to respond, let's listen together to one last testimony.
April 12th
del
of 2020
2020
It was a very hard day in my life. It was the day that Jose passed away. How can I put it? He started to feel bad and I took him to the hospital at 2 in the morning. He was hospitalized and around 11 or 12, they called me to let me know he was COVID positive. Then they sent him back home on Saturday. And it was all normal, and they said everything was fine. But I knew everything wasn't fine because of his eyes. Sunday the 12th, which was Easter, I went upstairs to give him coconut water. And I saw that he was having a hard time breathing, and his pulse was very weak. I tried to perform CPR on him that I had learned, and no, he wouldn't respond. And I called the ambulance and he left. He left in my arms. And he spent his last few words telling me that he loved me a lot. And he left.
One of the things that I was able to discuss with her at the beginning was the fact that she had permission to cry. It is like she didn't have to feel guilty for being a believer to cry for a loved one.
There are days that I wake up so sad because of the memories, but I say I am well, and I miss him so much in my heart. But then I ask God to help me. My son needs me, my children need me. Give me the strength, Lord. Counseling has helped me a lot to feel, how can I explain? To feel his absence without that pain, but to accept that he's in a better place, because he is.
What I was starting to do with her, it is like not just counseling, but bringing God to this process, to this conversation, and God promises. I let her know when I talked to her that probably one of her main strengths was connected with her faith. Her faith will be like an anchor for her.
Felipe has helped me 100% to move forward with my life. He helped me to grow more in my faith. He helped me to feel more secure and to accept the death of Jose. Because I believe in my God. Through his counseling, I've been able to see things with more clarity. And here I am, thanks to God and thanks to you. Faith goes first. If you don't have faith, you don't have nothing. But if you have faith, you have it all.
In Matthew 15, when Jesus tells his disciples that he wants to feed the 4,000, they ask, "Where could we get enough bread in this remote place to feed such a crowd?" Without skipping a beat, Jesus asks them, "How many loaves do you have?" Since the beginning of this pandemic, the needs in our community have skyrocketed. To serve all those who have come to New Hope seeking assistance in the last year and a half, our budget has increased by 26%. That's over $150,000. Now, despite this huge surge in need, your giving last year exceeded all the needs that we had by God's grace. As a need has grown, so has your generosity. And as we move through 2021, we are taking another big step forward to continue to meet the surge in need and launch the Harvest program. So Jesus asks us all, how many loaves do you have? What do you have in your hand that I can use to feed my people? To counsel those in crisis, to raise up the next generation of leaders in our community, to feed the 4,000, we must all offer what we have and let God take those 7 loaves and a few small fish and turn them into a miracle. So now I invite you to pause and pray and consider. Will you please give a financial gift to support New Hope's mission? There's a few ways that you can do this. If you grab your phone, you can text HOH 2021 to the number 41444. That's HOH 2021 to 41444. You can also scan the QR code on the triangle table card if you're at a house party. Both of those options will allow you to give right on your phone. If you'd prefer to pay by check, that's fine too. You can write out your check and put it in an envelope. If you're at a party, we'll collect all those envelopes from your host after the event. If you're at home, you can just drop your envelope in the mail and we'll get it in a few days. Please pray and consider. Would you give radically so that families can flourish? Thank you, and God bless you all.